Hello everyone. Welcome to Ron Ruminates. Rather mind-boggling talk. I don't know what to call it, so I just called it Ron Ruminates, meaning thinking a lot. Okay, how did I get this idea? Pretty simple. I was taking classes TRB and we had only 2 months time and I was going through a book a day trying to teach them. Of course, I couldn't do it because there was there were like 60 days and you had to finish 100 units, but still I got through pretty much like 80% of it. Then I realized it's not so difficult to get through a book. I mean, I'm not reading a book fully. I'm just understanding concepts, main characters, and all that. So I thought eventually I'm never going to have enough time to read all the books I want to read. So why not at least know what they are? And this is the pretty important show, right? So, what are the books, whether it's self help, fiction, non-fiction, biography, history, philosophy, that I always wanted to read? At least I will summarize them. So, my soul will rest in peace. Okay, today is a self help book. I have been meaning to read it, but I have heard many people talk about it. So, I thought finally I'll get to it. Of course, I won't read the entire book, but that's okay, if you just know these points, that should help you. So this is called Finding Flow by, okay. Now my apologies if I pronounce this word wrong, but I got some help from internet and they said it should be pronounced as Mihaly Csikzentmihalyi. So that's the help that I got. They It specifically mentions that I have to make me as high. So it's like me high, then cheek sent me high. So probably that is Chinese. I'm not sure. Um, so hereafter we'll refer to him as the author, and that would be safe, I suppose. But he's written a brilliant book called Finding Flow. Now, what is flow? Flow is basically, you know, when I was a kid, when we used to play football, there are times when you'll take the ball and you will just keep going till the goal until you hit the goal and you won't even know what happened. Or sometimes when you're right, don't even know what happened. The time has just vanished and then you're done with it. Where did the time go? Why didn't you feel tired? Why weren't you nervous? That means you are in the state of flow. So, according to definition, a flow is an optimal experience in everyday life, which is a complete immersion and engagement where consciousness is harmoniously ordered. So, that is what means to have flow. But I fear that we have missed flow because of too many distractions. I think we have mobile phones, we have the internet, and all that stuff. And very rarely we are going to hit flow. So the core concepts he talks about, as I get, you know, out of this chaos of arranging the things every day in every book, usually this is going to be the format. We're going to talk about the core concepts, and then we will have some 5 or 7 ideas that you can implement immediately that will help you. So the idea is why reading this book? How to help it has to be helpful in some way, right? So this is one of the ways, I suppose. So the flow state is the central idea that is everybody experiences flow. Okay, so the idea is when skills match challenges, you hit flow and full focus is there. And now it's a very rewarding experience. And the author talks about this and how do you get it? He wants to talk about the structure of daily life. We usually tend to think, okay, day is directly work and all that, but no. In a day, there are so many things, right? For example, First part he talks about is productivity activities. That is, you do work or study, which is like 24% to 60% of your time. Yes, that usually covers up the things, right? Mostly you're doing work. And then you maintain things about it. You do housework, eating, grooming, and all those stuff. That is also part of a day, right? So you have productivity activities, then you have maintenance activities, and finally you have the leisure activities, which is hobbies, socializing. But recently, I would think this book came out in the year 1997, I suppose. It's a long time. And now I think this might be a little bit different. Productivity and leisure are almost combined with each other. And that's a sad thing. But okay. So we spend most of time on productive activities, maintenance activities, leisure. What's he trying to say is, when do we hit flow then? And that's the big question that he's asking. The answer is, it's a very paradoxical answer. The answer is that people will experience flow at work than in leisure. We usually will think, okay, probably I will hit flow when I am just relaxing or something. But no, when you're at work, when you're doing some work, when your mind is deeply into some work, then you will hit flow. Sometimes being alone is generally negative, but if you can learn to live with solitude, it seems you'll hit flow. I think this theory will apply to writers because writers need silence, and when they're alone, they know how to handle that, and then they get into the zone and they write. That's the reason you see all these writers going to this retreats and stuff. Basically, they're trying to hit that flow. And of course, we think passively doing something will make hit us flow, but does not help us in any way. Like watching TV or social media, we think it's going to help us, but it's not going to help us. That's the surprising find, because the context that he's talking about is that yes, leisure is good, work is good, maintenance is good, but in work, how do you hit flow? Leisure, when do you hit flow? All these things are the key ideas. Now, what is he trying to say is quality over quantity. That means what matters isn't what we do, but how we do it. This has been bugging me a bit. That is, sometimes I tend to do things half heartedly, but when I really put myself out there, then things happen. I think we should all approach work that way instead of half heartedness. If you put ourselves completely into the work, I think you can do a lot, right? And then, okay, now comes the main thing. Okay, that's fine. I have to put in, but how do you hit flow in a day? Is there a way to hit flow so that I don't feel like working, but still I get to work? How do I do it? First is set clear goals and immediate feedbacks. That's very, very important. Clear goals and immediate feedback. Every day, if you have a goal and then you get it and you get feedbacks, then you feel great. You're hitting flow quickly. And then this is the most important thing. Between challenges and skills, you have to balance it. Sometimes, if your work is too tedious, you lose motivation. But if it's not at all tedious, then also you're going to lose motivation. The challenge is you have to balance it. Your skill and challenge should be balanced, then focus hits. This is the sweet spot that we all have to work on. And then complete concentration on the task. Uh, at this present time, it's very, very difficult to do it, but I think he's right. But at least we can try. If we completely concentrate on a task, there are many tools, right? Some of the tools that I've learned is focus on 2 minutes on that work until you finish it and then move ahead. What I do is I set timer for 15 minutes and I keep writing, even if it's rubbish, but it's okay. But then I hit the flow. Usually works, not always, but works. You know, we are trying to make things better. I think some things we got to do like that. And then when we have a sense of control, then flow rises. This happens when we talk on stage. Until you feel you're not very confident, don't have any control, then it's mayhem out there. But then once you get into kind of free flow, you are connected with the audience and all that, and then it's like awesome. You got it. You can get in there, right? And our self-consciousness will move ahead and you'll be in the zone. Like basketball players, they forget everything. They will dribble, dribble, dribble and get to the goals. And that's the loss of self-consciousness. They don't even have the self-consciousness upon them. They are just going at it, and that's a great thing. And then transformation of time, you just forget it and do it. So if you want to hit flow, I think we got to do all these things. Then who are these naturally great people who hit flow? They call autotelic. Okay, and I'm not one of them. I don't know if you are, but I'm not one of them. It takes a lot of time and effort to get into flow. Sometimes hardly, never happens in a day. We got to be truthful about it, but we can learn a lot of stuff from this book. And then now let's get into the practical part of it. How can we apply 5 practical ways? One is transform work into flow. Set small goals. This is exactly what I do. I'm I have to write like 6,000 words a day. I usually have 2,000 words. Then my guilty pleasure, I go read some thriller, which I enjoy for 15 minutes, then get back to it. Usually I'm not trying to get back to writing. I'm trying to get back to reading, which I really like. So that puts me in a flow state. And usually I don't choose challenging books for that 15 minutes break. They're all like fun, thrilling books, which are fast going, enjoyable books, so that it shouldn't become a chore just setting these things. And then practice active leisure. That's what he's been talking about. Look, watching TV, social media is fine, but he's telling active leisure means hobbies, like writing or hiking or something, which is kind of challenging, but it'll put you in flow. You'll get to flow quickly, and that's what he's talking about there. And then keep a journal. He's also talking about keeping a journal so that we'll know how we feel, what's going on, what are my moods, where I should work on. Um, I used to keep diaries on and off, uh, mostly in the notebooks, and I maintained for like some years, but then I lost count. But right now, I've gone back to day one. It's an awesome app where you can daily write. It's just like preserving my memories with photos and things. At the same time, uh, when I read about it, when I read like previous posts or my journal entries, I get a sense like where I should work, where I'm lagging and all that. That comes from that. And of course, cultivate productive solitude. Be alone. Like it's not necessary that 24 hours you should stick with people. Sometimes being alone, doing writing, artwork, and all these personal projects can actually put you in flow. That's the sweet spot. Like you need to be alone, you need to set some goals, you need to do things at the same times. If you're too alone too, it goes off. When you're at work, it works, right? And then balance challenge and skill. This we have already talked about it. One simple line is, if you're bored with the task, increase the complexity, make the work a little bit complex. uh I used to write like 1,000 words, but then I lost interest because it was too low a goal for me. So I thought like, okay, let's do 2,000 words, then go for a break, then it works. Then if you're stretched, I mean, if bored, increase complexity. Otherwise, you just have to change these things. Okay, so I think these are the things we can learn from this awesome book. And we have discussed about how we can hit flow and how flow can help us grow our lives. And of course, Mihai Csikzentmihalyi has written a fantastic book. Of course, there is a follow up of this as well. We will get to it some other time. But try to implement at least 2, 3 of the points and see where it takes. If you have tried these topics or ideas, comment, share it with your friends. Every day I'm trying to cover a book which should be very practical and useful for us. Thank you for tuning in today.